Hey guys, so we are, sorry, I'm going to adjust you just a smidge. We're going to come back and do some more pouring here. So super exciting. I want to just go ahead and get this resin mixed up. That way, it's rolling. And then I will show you where we are at on our tray and our handles and so forth. So we do need another layer on the tray just because we added those gold flecks. It definitely needs another coat, which is fine. So we're gonna get that going. So again, try to show y'all using Counterculture Artist Resin Thin Viscosity. Counterculture's DIY is such an amazing small company, so I love supporting them. Alright, I have our small cups first. Let me try to position this over here. The cord is so thick, it just keeps pushing it out because it's not going in the little crack I have it. Okay, so we are going to do, sometimes the resin tells me what we're going to do. We're going to do about 80, but we'll see where we stop at here. This is B. If you haven't been watching the other episodes of this series, I definitely suggest you go back and watch those so that you can be fully caught up before you start this one. And we're ending up at 85, which is fine. So with that said, if you haven't seen those others and you aren't going to go back and watch, B is yellow right now. I'm trying to use this resin up. It's a little bit older, but still good. Especially since we're doing color, it's not going to hurt. If this was a clear piece, I wouldn't want to use the yellow just because it's already yellowing. But because we are at a, I was afraid of that. I was like, we're going to end up with 90 of A. I can just tell. And that's fine. Let me just add a little more B. It's the nice advantage if you pour them separate and not in the same cup, that if you don't have the exact amount, you could pour out or pour back, pour more in. I find it easier if it were B and I was over on B, I might dump it back into B's bottle. A being thicker, because it's our hardener, it's hard to transfer back and forth. So I typically, B is going to be the one that I maneuver whichever direction I want to go. And I almost did the thing that I don't like. I like B in first because it does give us just a coating of our cup before we put in that thick A kind of thing. I know that maybe doesn't make sense if you haven't worked with resin, but if you have, you probably have somewhat of an understanding. Also, this is a 1-to-1 ratio. So, of course, as I always say, just check that, because it could be different depending on the resin you're using. I scrape my cup as much as I can just to get those even amounts in there. So you'll notice I use my tool and I scrape. I'm probably going to have to mix this for a little longer than I normally would. A is pretty thick. We've had a few cooler days here. And so, not that it's like cold, but just I can tell that A is really thick. We want to make sure it gets mixed fully. You'll see some resin artists do a warm bath. You can definitely do that with your resin before you start, but for convenience purposes, I just don't. Plus, that would be so hard for me to video. I don't have a sink in here, so I'd be like, come with me to the bathroom or to the kitchen and let's do this. Alright. So, spinner from Hobby Lobby. It is a resin spinner. I like to make sure that the stick is all the way to the bottom and all the way to the back. And then we tighten these up. You want to make sure that you kind of tighten evenly so that you don't have a... but you also want this one to be a little bit tighter so it pinches that at the back. And then, watch this, bye-bye. This saves my wrist so much because that repetitive motion does get to my wrist. Okay, so that is spinning. Let's see, we are at just about 6 minutes. So I'm going to slide that just over into another area of the space so I can show y'all. Here is our tray. Look at this. It's so pretty. I love how it came out. I was a smidge worried. Now my daughter says that the other side, when we unmold it, it's going to be way prettier. She likes this side. I agree with her. I do like it. But the problem is going to be we've got dips. So I'd rather those be on the bottom and have a flat top. So, you know, that's part of crafting, right? Yeah, you do. Then we have our other tray, which has our handles. They are a smidge rough, so I do want to do a layer of resin on them. And then, of course, we have our dump molds that we're working on if we get to them. With these, let's swap trays around. Ooh, I am not going to have paper towels, I just realized. So, I am going to pause y'all and go get paper towels while that resin is mixing, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Of course, I had my timer rolling with the phone, so I don't really know how long that's been going, but I would say it probably took me about 3 minutes to go down. So, we're close. They're probably needing to check that, but it's fine. I'm going to let it keep mixing. And don't mind me, I had to go down the stairs to the garage, back up the stairs. I'm a little bit winded, but we're fine. Alright, and I brought an extra roll up. I'm going to stash in here because, you know, Lord. Anywho, so we will do a thin coat here, but I'm going to go ahead and unmold these. And here's why. Because I know that I'm going to have an issue with, oh, that was just an extra piece on the end, so it didn't matter. I'm going to have an issue, I believe, with the little legs of these. Huh. They're not coming out as easy as I thought they would. Interesting. Sure, they say. We're going to unmold it. Got that one. Let's see if we can get this one. Oh yeah, we're going to have to do something. These are like rubber. And I can even like smush them. So definitely going to have to do something with those. I think we're going to just try to coat over top of them, but I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that just yet. Look at this one. I think that's partly why it's having issues coming out of the mold, is that it's like gummy and bendy. It's like rubber. Like, okay. Like, oh my goodness. Okay. Yep, the bottoms are beautiful. I do love that. Let's look at the tops. They're gorgeous too. I like them. I'm going to try to make sure they're kind of the same height. Yeah. But I'm not going to screw into that and have it be rubbery. So that will be a little something that we got to work on. Okay. Let's check our resin because it's been spinning for quite a while. It's probably ready to stop. Yes, we've got quite a few bubbles I can see, but that's okay. And our cup section's in. Then we can move this guy out of our way. Oh yeah, nice and crystal clear when I lift it up. Yeah, we have bubbles, but I'm not seeing the stringy pieces that I'd be concerned about if it wasn't mixed. So definitely good. Now we gotta let it set a little bit just to have some of these bubbles come to the surface for us. Okay. Let's hit it with a little bit of heat. Just a low amount. I like to go around my cup a little bit sometimes just to, especially with as cool as the resin feels. Now, not too much heat because, again, you're going to speed up your chemical process with that resin. Pop it down like that a few times. You can sometimes see that bubbles will come up and actually pop just by doing this, which is nice. It's like, bring those bubbles on up. Now, some people do have like a bubble remover tool or machine, or I don't know what you want to call it. Just resin accessory. I've never used one. I don't have one, never used one. I've not had an issue. Maybe one day, but for now, I've seen a lot of people though use them and then have a flash cure happen, so I don't know. I don't know about that. That's not so cool. Alright. So we're going to start here. I want to make sure we get our tray completely filled. And then we will work on our little funky handles. But look how cute this is going to look. Just as a... Of course, the handle isn't even, or it's not sitting even. But like... Doesn't look super cute, right? Oh, you guys have a really bad glare from this light. But because it's stormy, we needed the light to not make this corner so dark. But, okay. Well, that didn't really do any good, did it? Let's move it. Let's do this. Let's shift it over here. Still giving us lots of light, just not right on the piece and glaring. So yeah, I think that'll look cute once we get it all cleaned up and fixed. I'm thinking about those and what I'm going to do with them, and I don't quite have a solution yet. So let's keep rolling with this, and then we'll work on that solution a little more. I would say seems like a plan, right? I'm gonna pop some of those surface bubbles for us, and then let's go ahead and pour some of this in here. Like all the way around. Woo! A little bit fast there, but that's okay. As long as it doesn't overflow, but it should come back to the center. Resin is self-leveling, so it likes to be flat. It likes to level itself out. And if you hear thunder, you might not though, because I have my noise canceling headphones on, so you might not actually hear the thunder. But like I said, it's a little stormy today. Just thunderstorms. God's moving his furniture around. I heard that in Little House on the Prairie, and I stuck with it. It stuck with me. I heard it as an adult on Little House on the Prairie. Isn't that funny? And goodness, one of my wedding gifts for my husband was the whole DVD set of Little House on the Prairie. That'll take us back, right? If you're super young, you're like, what's a DVD? Like, oh gracious. You mean it wasn't streaming? No, everything is streaming now. Now you could attach your handles right on by, you know, adding the resin. I'm just a little bit worried about these guys not being super solid. But I am also worried about screwing them in. Let's do this. Let's do what I'm doing. See, we're gonna problem solve as we go. We're gonna just take the resin that's on my silicone mixing stick here, and we're gonna just coat the entire thing, because it's gonna be on the bottom. You're not gonna see this. I'm gonna even take it a step further and just make sure, like, where your hand would grab, there's no sharp hanging resin type thing. Okay, and then we're gonna see about where we want our handle to be. Probably right there. So we're gonna do the same thing. And yes, I see there's lots of bubbles, but I'm also letting them come to the surface, so it's okay. They're gonna come up to the surface. We'll see how this works. It's either gonna work or it's gonna be an ultimate failure, and we're gonna have to get really creative at that point if it becomes that, because we put so much time and effort into this. We need it to not be a failure. Okay. Silicone brushes are like, when you're working with resin, this is a must purchase. Get you some silicone brushes. They don't have to be fancy. You just need them to be a silicone brush that you're not going to damage your resin, you're not going to damage your mold, that kind of thing. This one I put so much on, it was dripping down and over, so I'm having to do a little bit of like, hey, let's clean you up. Okay, let's just get estimated, which is fine. Now, ideally, I probably would have cleaned these up before I added them, but we are winging it. Yeah. For sure, winging it. Maybe go in just a smidge with you. I'm just gonna have to see how that works. Maybe I went a little too far, right? Okay. So ideally, like, I would have cleaned up these edges and so forth, but you know, we're just having to roll. All right, we've got lots of bubbles, so let's try to handle some of that with a little bit of heat. Moving our heat gun around and around so that we're not hitting one spot too much too fast. Now we're really full on this edge, so I'm being really careful over here with it. Bubbles are disappearing, which is good. I was saying with the silicone brushes, those are just such a key to have, just to help you with, you know, mold stuff, also with like things like we were doing here today with the handles and so forth. It's just, they are so handy. They're not overly expensive. Like I said, you don't have to have the best of the best with those. Just something to help you navigate. I really do like these ones that have these like flat kind of tips for what I was just doing. Those are nice. But if you're doing blooms, I don't know if I had a good one. Oh yeah. If you're doing blooms, you want more of a pointed tip, just to get your, make sure that your bloom is not your lines aren't, I'm losing my train of thought. Your lines aren't super thick. This is looking really, really good. I'm seeing a few micro bubbles, but nothing crazy. I like to always check my edges. I got a bubble over there. I'm going to have to use the tool to get. I need to hit the spot a little bit more. Yeah, we got that. Little bubbles. They're popping now. Kind of get underneath the handles. Okay. I'm going to put a thin layer since we have some extra on top of the handles too. So that's going to be a little fun. Not gonna lie. Can't tell if you are in the layer below or in this layer. If you are in this layer, you need to come on up. We got a whole family of them over here. That just took care of them. There we go. There we go. Okay. Cool. Y'all, we're getting there. We are getting there. Alright. Oops. I went over the edge, which was what I was trying to avoid. Let me just start off by going over the edge. It's okay. Everything is fixable. We just have to get creative sometimes. You know, it's fine. Use our silicone brush to do a little cleanup. It will work. Just want to make sure we have a layer over those gold flecks for our cell. Also, hopefully then we don't have to do too much cleanup. We've got some sharp edges here on our handles. Like I said, it would have been nice to maybe spend a few minutes cleaning those up further. But again, I'm not going to stress over it. We will do some cleanup at the end. I know these are, because the resin below is not solid yet, it's a little bit wobbly, but I think that's pretty good. I have to hit it with a little heat to get those bubbles. And I'm just moving this to the edges. And again, it's going to self-level and pull itself to the center. I just don't want to end up with a pool just in one area. I want it to be fully covering. We got some really sharp edges on this one, which again, we'll get. Just gonna take a little bit of work. And this series is turning out longer than I predicted, so I'm gonna have to change. If you notice that the number has changed, that's why, because it is taking been a few more steps than I had initially anticipated. Alright, just hitting get these micro bubbles, and while we're at it, I'm going to hit the ones in the tray too, because a few more have come to our surface and popping. It's sometimes hard to tell with the mica powder because it's so shimmery. Like, if there's bubbles, which is why I like doing a lot of color, because then it hides your like little imperfections if you have them. So because it will play with your eyes and you won't actually see the bubble, you'll see the mica shimmering. So just a little tip: if you're first starting out, don't try to get crystal clear. Don't do a crystal clear project. It's just gonna frustrate you with those. Gotta work with it a little longer, I think. I still don't love doing crystal clear because it just never fails. I end up with like one bubble or, you know, one little area that I'm like, dang it, that could have been better, and so forth. So that's why I say not your ideal to start with crystal clear. That's the advantage of the micas. They really, with their shimmering, they had a lot of imperfections of bubbles. There was no rhyme or reason for doing that little swirl thing. So I do see a couple little alligator tears sneaking over the edge in this one. So we'll get them cleaned up here. Alright, that one I don't see any, which is good. This one I see a little bit right there. Come back this way. So. And you'll notice, like, I wipe off my silicone brush at the edge of the mold just to take off the excess resin that I've accumulated on the brush. There we go. Since I pushed from both sides, that helped even that out. Perfect. All right. No more on this, other than I am going to spritz with a little rubbing alcohol to finish popping any few little bubbles that could be lingering. Not too much of a spritz, but just enough to surface level get all those bubbles. We're going to move this over to a flat spot to finish curing for approximately, I would say at this level, because we are finishing it up and we want this to be a very solid level or solid round, I'm going to say you should cure for no less than 24 hours. Okay? That's my thought on that. Okay. Glad we discussed that and have agreed. All right. We want to use up what little bit of resin we still have. So I want to fill these hearts with some red mica. I don't think it's going to take much resin. And I am using this magenta chameleon because it looks stunning. I might have used it before, but ooh, that's going to be really pretty because it gives kind of a like pinkish purple, but with red. I like it. I like it. Okay, micas, you got to make sure. Remember, we don't want any dry. Nobody wants a dry patch of cake. So we gotta mix, mix, mix. I probably did a little much mica, so let's just add a little bit more resin to that. It's definitely getting thicker, the resin is, so definitely not at the point of no return, but definitely getting to where we gotta keep cruising, which is why I didn't want to wait too long and admire our tray too much, because I'm like, we gotta get this going. And like I said, probably 24 hours at least before I would even consider unmolding the tray, just because, yes, the resin will be cured probably in 8 to 12 hours, but I want it to get those extra hours to really get solid. Now these are dump molds, so I'm not worried about where resin lands in them. So that's why I'm just wiping my brush in it. It's not going to get much on it anyway, but I'm just trying to clean up this little heart area. We have some bubbles that have decided to come to the surface, which is good. I'd rather them come now. So we'll just do that. But because we are very full, I'm going to be very careful to not move the resin too much. Kind of back and forth, side to side, that kind of thing. I'm thinking about this. I don't really want to pour the next layer of this. I was thinking, oh, we'll pour the next layer, but the problem is when we pour this next layer, we're going to end up merging with that resin that's wet, and that is not going to give us the look we want. So the rest of this resin we get to play with over here. All right, so let's just put the rest of this resin in I'm going to put it in a paper cup. Let's see, I'll move this around so that hopefully y'all can see. I'm going to, do that. Do I have my other size? Well, let's just do this. We'll put in a little medicine cup too. I'll show you what I'm thinking. If we're getting messy, I don't love when I get messy like that, but that's the phase we are at with this batch of resin. Tell you what, it has been springtime in Kentucky, and my allergies, whew, they had me good the other day. I was like, goodness gracious. Thursday night I came home and I told my husband, I was like, I'm just ready for bed. Like, I just need to go to bed. I was like, my whole left side, nasal and throat were just kind of funky. I get like an allergy pink eye thing usually once a year. That's quite lovely. It's not contagious, but it's not fun to deal with because it feels like something's in your eyeball. All right, close enough. All right, so we have our red. Let's don't know what I want to use. Let's do an alcoholic. Okay, we have a ocean green here. This will be fun. Let's put a few drops in there. And then I am going to do this other one. We're going to do casting craft in, which we don't want a ton of it, so that's why I did the smaller bottle or smaller container. Casting craft is always been difficult to get out of the container. Ooh, that rubbing alcohols, or not rubbing alcohol, that alcohol ink is strong. Come on, one more. Come on, there we go. All right. Mix these bubbas up. What we'll do. And also, I know this is dumb, but not at the same time. I'm going to just try to scoop that up off of there, clean up my mat a little bit. Okay. Yep, we're getting real thick. Alrighty, look at those. We got us some white. Ooh, we've got some good bubbles on our hearts right in the center. Good thing is this part's not going to be seen on it, so not super worried. I almost feel like I need a little bit more. Make sure it was mixed. I didn't shake it a ton, but that one's not one of the shimmers, so it doesn't need super shook. But, okay. So we're going to do a little bit of our alcohol ink one. Again, I am not doing any sort of, I want to say, particular pattern. This is just fun, use up our resin kind of thing. And I don't have a lot of time to plan on these ones because guess what? The resin is getting to that point where it's like you either use it or you're gonna lose it kind of thing. So I don't, it's more of like fly by the seat of your pants kind of, hey, let's get the resin in there and let's just see what happens. So, and that's fine. I'm just letting y'all know that that's why I'm not like, oh yeah, let's coordinate this color and this color. Alright, good enough. Then we're going to add our red, maybe in yeah. See how it's like globbying? It's not to the point of no return, but it's definitely getting there. It's like getting real thick, which ultimately that's what you want it to do, but not before you've gotten a chance to get it where you want it to be, kind of thing. But it's all good. Okay, that's going to be a fun one to clean up. Alright, then we're going to do some white crust and craft in here, but it's coming out blobby. So that's just what it's going to be. Normally with my casting craft, I would like to give a little bit more, you know, finesse, shall we say. But it's not happening with this version. And that's fine. It's just going to be a globby mess. And we really don't have much time to like manipulate them if we want to do some manipulation. Basically it's a now or never situation. This is where you would want a pointy one just to give you safety of hitting your mold and not worrying about damaging your mold, essentially. Yeah, these ones are more of just swirl, so we're just gonna kind of swirl. Okay, cool. Now let's hit those with a little bit of heat because we have our bubbles in the center of our hearts. Get those out of there. Those might take a little spritz of rubbing alcohol, which is fine. The resin will move some when you're hitting with heat like this. Even though this is very gloppy, you're going to start to see like what I can make that resin move the more heat I put on it. So just know that, depending on what look you're going for. More muted, blended, or defined line. If you're going defined line, you don't want to be doing a lot of heat on it. Okay, perfect. So these ones would be fine. We come back in 8 hours, put another layer on. Really, for the hearts, I don't need a ton of time. I just don't want to add another layer and it bleed in. I want that really defined heart. And it dawned on me that it's not like this part that has that big what do I want to say, edging on the sides here, that if I started to pour, this red would run into those, which could be a really cool look for something, but not the look I'm going for on this particular piece. So, not doing that. Now, clean up. My least favorite time. But you know what? It's got to be done. So we've got kind of a hot mess here. That's fine. I got some tools that need cleaned up. I got some resin over here that I gotta wipe up. So, no time like the present. Brand new finger paper towels, which is what we're gonna need. Bring these closer to me. And rubbing alcohol. Now, this is actually 99%. It's Amazon. And I'm just gonna, because we have such a hot mess there, I'm gonna just kind of go ahead and do that. Amazon 99% alcohol. This is an Equate bottle because it has the best spout. I love this spout. And I happenstance not too long ago saw at Walmart where they still have these, so I'm like, okay. You know, it's not the, I'm not telling you something that doesn't have, that's non-existent. I will keep this bottle as long as I can. But, so the initial round that I'm wiping here is just trying to get as much of the sticky, tacky resin off as I can. And then, of course, we're going to come back over these several times before they're fully done cleaned. But just get a good, rough clean. Like, you know, I'll put parts back in, try to kind of clean up so that I'm not getting all messy. Ooh, look at that. It's like purpley. The black. That's all pretty. I'm going to put just a little bit in the bottom of that one because it's going to need, oh, it's going to need some TLC. Round and round we go. Look at all that resin on there. Whew. I do my outsides as well because you got to get them. And as I'm doing this, my glove is getting messy with resin, so definitely want to do the outside because I'm transferring resin from piece to piece. Now, I do like to clean my gloves periodically in this process just because of that. I just take them and wipe them off. And then we're able to keep rolling. Of course, you do have to clean your A and B cups. They will not cure up. Your ones that you've mixed resin in would cure up. And then you should just be able to peel the resin out. I usually scrape my cups though so much. You're not going to have much to have collect. And so it always leaves this like very fine thin layer. And I push the resin to almost the point of no return a lot of times, since I don't have exact measurements of how much I need, and so I'm trying to do a little extra dump pour, and that pushes us to the limit. So if you're doing that, just know that this is the method that I have personally found that is the easiest to get everything cleaned up and ready for the next. Silicone's going to air dry. Fantastic. Love that. And I'm generous with my rubbing alcohol, as you see. But truthfully, it looks like I'm using a ton. But truthfully, it goes such a long way. So, that guy was pretty much almost done after the first wipe because it was the first tool I did. So, them back where they belong. Or, oh, I knew that this was spinning. I am going to put glue on that. I'm gonna set that one aside and try to remember to glue it. Why they make them where they're not glued tight, it drives me crazy. Because I'm pulling on them. I'm like, we don't got time to be all gentle when we're cleaning. This is the part I want to get done. So I'm like putting some elbow grease into these and, you know, really trying to make sure that we get them cleaned off. Like, goodness. And as you go along each round, like this paper towel is pretty good because it didn't get globbed with a lot of resin from piece to piece. So now I'll still clean that one more time because it's my mixing cup. I just prefer to use a fresh paper towel on it before I say it's done. This cup has gotten so gross on the outside. Try to let that sit for a second. It's mainly where the measurements are, because that just holds all that, like, it doesn't repel the resin like the rest of the cup does. I should become like, okay, is this a functional piece for resin working? A tester. That's what I want to say. Become a tester. I want to test it out. My sister and I want to test out like board games, or games in their boxes. You know, sometimes I feel like the people who design the box, it's all about the economic value of, you know, not being too expensive to like produce the box, which I get, you have to, but I'll pay a few extra bucks if that's like designed in a way that's compact, but also what do I want to say? That's compact, but also, oh, I cannot think of the word that I'm wanting. I basically want it to be smartly done. I can't tell you how many like kids games we have bought through the years that like have holes in the lids, you know, that are like when it's in the on the shelf it's fine because there's this big piece protruding out of it, or there's this big piece of plastic that's not glued to the box. So as soon as you open it, then now you have this big hole and your pieces are going to fall out. And I'm like, why? Why do we do this to parents and kids? All these little pieces are now going everywhere. So I want it to be where it's like thought through. How is this going to go back together for a family when they play this game? Is it going to go back together well? Or is there going to be concerns? Are the pieces going to get all mixed when you put the box on its side? You know, things like that. I know, sounds silly, probably, but yeah, my sister and I always are critiquing games box containers because we're like, why? Like, why would you do that? Like, she bought a travel game that is like literally just in this little bag, but it has all these pieces and it's not like a sealable bag. It's just got straps or like two handles on it to hold for convenience. But that bag tips over, which it's gonna, because it's not a bag that's gonna stand up. This piece is gonna be going everywhere. Yeah, pieces all over in the car. Like, okay, it might be travel worthy, but or sold as a travel game, but it's not really smartly done. Anyway, that's my soapbox today. Alright, these are pretty good. This cup is probably getting close to retiring. Just because I think it's one of my originals. And I definitely can feel just a thin layer around the top and so forth. Plus it's really yellow, so it's probably, as much as I hate to say it, it's probably about time for it to retire. But yeah, so there we go. We are another round done with it, which is phenomenal. I love when we get another layer situated. So the next episode will be fully unmolding, cleaning up our beautiful handles that are going to be a little bit of a pain, which is why I say our beautiful handles, because I'm trying to encourage myself. It's all going to be okay. And then once we clean those up, we'll get them situated with their oh, my hands are sticky, sweaty and sticky. We'll get them all cleaned up and good to be able to be picked up. See if there's any other imperfections. Oh no! I took off my gloves and I came over here and look what has happened. Ah. Okay. Yep. This is crafting. See, we're not done. Do you know how devastated I would have been if I had not seen that and it cured like that? Oh, I would have been full on devastation. I don't know what I would have done. Oh, now my hands, because they're so sticky. And I took my gloves off, but I really need my fingers to be okay. I need the glove to not be longer than the thing. Oh, what a mess. What a mess, folks. Okay. We're fine though. Let me see. Probably could come in just a little bit. Just fine. She got topsy-turvy is what she did. So on the tops here, I do plan, we're going to do some UV resin probably to end up helping with the tops. So I'm not so worried that this one's not going to be perfect. We're just going to have to use a lot more resin, UV resin type thing. And truthfully, it's going to just come off this side. I just am trying to make sure it's not full on drippy off the side. This one feels pretty stable. This one still is a little bit tricky. And we have a big bubble. There we go. Okay. Popped in. Like, is it gonna stay? But I don't have, like, I can't put a, there's no backup plan, I guess. I feel like even though technically I'm level, this is always funny to me. Yeah, I'm spot on level. But I do feel like it runs a little bit this way. So, for my brain and sake, I'm going to move it to our problem handle on this side so that hopefully gravity pulls it away from the way it's wanting to lean. And this one's actually kind of leaning the same way it was going this way. So I'm bringing it back just a smidge and then hoping to, based on what I feel like happens up here, that it kind of pulls itself. We don't need it to stay for a whole lot longer. That resin's getting really where we need it to be to like hold it. So I probably am just going to have to keep an eye on it for a little bit. Just kind of stay near to the craft space and make sure. And when I do the next video, I'll just let y'all know what transpired. Like, where did I end up with this one? because, yeah, I really don't want to lose our tray to a handle in it. That would be awful. I know I say everything is fixable, but that would be a really, really challenging one to try to fix. Not gonna lie. That would be a not so fun one to be. I think we'd have to turn it into one of those like art pieces that makes it look intentional, that was part of it. But I don't know how I would do that per se. So yeah. You know, we're gonna roll with that. Alright, last but not least, I'm gonna show y'all what's going on with these guys. Look at those. Those are fun. Little, I might hit them with a little bit more heat just to pop in a few more bubbles. The hearts look really good. Again, these bubbles are going to be on the inside of the hearts, so those ones not probably so worried about as the little worry stones. Stop leaning. You might be past the point. Oh, they're popping. Okay. I was like, you might have missed that one. They're popping in. It's moving. Sorry it's not in frame for y'all, but I don't dare move our tray again at this point, so if you may be. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things. Alrighty. I'll keep an eye on this, and I'll keep you guys posted. We'll see you again here super soon. Bye.